Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I've got a sit down video for you today which I'm very excited about. This was actually kind of like a semi-requested video. Someone asked me about it in a comment and I just thought it'd be good to do a video on because it's quite a good topic. I have a lot to say about it and I know that this is quite a concern for a lot of people. Like, moving somewhere by yourself is very scary, especially to a big city like London. If you come from like a smaller town or even a village, like, it's a big difference. So I thought I'd just go through my experience and some of my tips. Before we get started, I just want to like apologise for the background almost. I know it's not up to its usual standard, but usually there's a treadmill behind here which I've now sold, and there's usually a lovely plant on my left side, never know which side that is, but I'm currently using it as my Christmas tree, so it's got like presents and lights and basically can't be moved. So we're dealing with this very yellow background, but I'm wearing green to try and compensate, so let me know what you think. Maybe you prefer it, I don't know. Either way, I'm comfy in my chair, which definitely means it's time for a sit down video. So I think to start off this video, I'm just going to give you my background on my move to London, why I moved, how I moved, and everything like that. So if you don't know, my name's Amber. Hi. I go to the University of Greenwich and I study events management, and that is the reason I moved to London. So originally I lived in Bournemouth, which is a little seaside town, super cute, very pretty, and I decided that if I'm going to do events and I'm going to do it properly, I'd probably need to be in London, and the University of Greenwich was like the #1 at the time for events within London, and the uni itself is just stunning. So I was like, yeah, moving to London, bye. It wasn't that easy. It was a big decision just because I'm such a homebody. Like, me and my family are really close, and I also had a boyfriend back in Bournemouth. Still have that boyfriend, but I had a boyfriend back in Bournemouth, which I think we'd been going out a year. No, I think we'd been going out 6 months when I decided that I was going to go to London, which was a whole conversation in itself. And then by the time I actually moved, I think the first day of my uni was our 1-year anniversary, which was very sad. So yeah, I did have a lot of ties at home, but I just knew, like, if I was going to get the best out of my future, if I wanted to get the job that I wanted and everything like that, I would need to move to London. So it was quite a hard thing to process. It was definitely difficult, but that's why I'm here, to try and help you make the process a lot easier. So some of my tips would be, like, in terms of packing, or no, let's start before that. In terms of like where you're moving to, if you're at that stage, I moved into student accommodation, so it was very easy for me. I think if you are a student and you're moving to like study something else for a term or anything like that, definitely try and get student accommodation, just because everyone's then in the same boat. Like, you're all students, you're all trying to figure it out for the first time, you can all relate to each other, you're of like similar-ish age. Yeah, that was a lot more helpful for me, knowing that everyone was in the same boat. It wasn't like just me on my own, like the 1,000 people or whoever that was starting that year in the University of Greenwich all felt the same, which was a huge thing for me. Otherwise, getting a shared apartment I think is a really good idea, just because then you've almost got, like, if you get on with them at least, you've got like inbuilt friends, if that makes sense. So me and Christian are moving in January. Christian is the boyfriend that I mentioned earlier. I'm moving in January in with another couple, which I'm so excited for. We currently live together by ourselves, which has been great. Like, it's such a treat, honestly, especially after doing like 2 years long distance. But I think it's fun to have, like, live with another girl, and he's going to be living with another guy. We'll have that like instant mate that we can like talk to and hang out with and everything like that. And before I lived with Christian, I lived with one of my friends called Sarah, and that was great fun. It was just like an endless sleepover. So I would definitely recommend getting a shared accommodation if you have, if you can, even, just because I feel like if you move in by yourself, it's a lot harder to maybe make as many connections or get yourself involved in as many things, because you've really got to be like self-motivated. There's no one there inviting you out at the start. So just something to consider. I guess it depends on the type of person you are. If you're very outgoing, maybe go for a shared accommodation. If you're quite an introvert and that sounds horrific for you, then go for your own space. But I would say shared accommodation would make the move a little bit easier, especially if you're moving from like a home situation where you've been surrounded by people like your family and things like that. So once you've got the place and you've decided to move and you're on your way, obviously goodbyes are very hard, but I think one thing that made it easier when I first got there was I unpacked everything. And bear in mind, I was going to uni, so I only had one room, so it took me maybe like 2 hours, 3 hours to unpack everything. So if you can, unpack as soon as possible, just because then the space feels like yours, like putting in homey bits like blankets, candles, photos, things that have sentiment to you. That will instantly transform any space. So even if you are just moving into maybe like a studio apartment and it feels quite blank and a bit bleak, you can kind of make that space your own. Because that is the fun about living by yourself. There's no one questioning your decisions or anything like that. So if you want an ugly rug in the middle of your room, you can have one. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I would definitely say unpack very quickly. It will just make you feel so much more comfortable in the space, and at home you'll feel less homesick because you've got all of your familiar items around you, and I just know that was really important for me. So that would be my number one tip. My next tip would probably be, after you've had your first few days kind of settled in, would be to find some like hobbies or places that do your hobbies. So if you really like going to the gym, join the gym. If you really like running, find a local park where you can run. If you really like charity shopping, find where the local charity shops are, all of that kind of thing. Just because then you'll find like-minded people at those places. Like even if it's like yoga or something, you go to a, I nearly said yoga bar, don't think that's what it's called, yoga studio or things like that. Just that way you and like start planting your roots in the area, do you know what I mean? You can go to those places maybe like once or twice a week. You'll get into the rhythm of that, you'll start meeting people through that, and they'll be interested in some similar things that you're interested in. Like I said, I moved for university, so basically all the people on my course were like-minded like me because we all had an interest in events, and I also joined the event society, so I met some people through that as well. In terms of sports and stuff, I don't really do much of that. But maybe there's like a reading club or something you could join, like a book club, a local book club, just little things like that which will help you start planting yourself in the local area, getting your roots out there, meeting some new people, and kind of making your first connections, doing things you enjoy. Especially if they're things you did at home, you don't want to just forget who you were and like leave all of those behind. If there's something you're really passionate about and you really enjoy, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that in London too. My next point kind of leads into that, and it's making mini traditions. So again, I think this depends on the type of person you are, but for me this was so important. I am a creature of habit. I like having things that I do every week or every day. It just makes me feel a lot more settled, a lot more grounded, and like I know what's coming. Do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing that's unexpected, or I'm just going to be lost for things to do or anything like that. So for me, every weekend, me and Christian go for a walk around Greenwich Park, most likely with a cup of tea and things like that. And we look at all the cute dogs, and I look at all the cute babies and things like that, which is really good fun. We go for drinks at our local pub, which is the Cutty Sark around the corner. So that's really good fun. What else do we do? I go charity shopping a hell of a lot. The strip that I walk down to uni has like 3 or 4 charity shops down it, so when I'm either going to or going from, I pop my head in there and have a little look, and all the ladies that work in there are so lovely. So yeah, just a few things like that. Like we get breakfast at Avocado and Coffee sometimes, just those kind of like general things where if there's like a cafe you really like, or a library you go to, or a shop you like, just start popping in places and making yourself known and having those little traditions set up, just so that it starts feeling like more of a community. You know, you've got your places you like, your areas you like, your people you like, the things you like to do in your spare time, and that way you'll start really feeling like this is home. Do you know what I mean? You're not just like dropped into an area that you have no idea about. You kind of get to grips with knowing your local area, knowing your way around, and the things that are your favourite within that area. In saying all of this, I think the other thing people are going to have to get to grips with if they're moving somewhere by themselves is asking people to hang out. Now this for me was scary AF, like the thought of having to ask someone to hang out and then being like,
no, I'm good, thanks,
was kind of like soul crushing. It didn't happen, luckily, but you will have to get to grips with kind of asking people to hang out, asking people if they want to go to the local shop with you, or if they want to, I don't know, just hang out for the day, go to a park, go to a museum together, something like that, just so that you can start like building those friendships, because for someone like me who is a people person, I like being around people, I do not like being by myself. I need as many people as I can get, so I like to hang out with people quite a lot. So for me that was a very big thing, moving to somewhere new, knowing no one. I needed to start building that community quite quickly. Oh, and like my circle of friends that I could rely on, that was quite important for me. So that is a good way of doing it, just inviting people out. It doesn't have to be anything too serious, like if you're moving for your internship or you're doing like a new job and you're having to move to a big city, it can be very intimidating, and it is hard to meet people in the city just because everyone's doing their own thing, everything's so fast paced. People are going to work, going back from work, and that's it. Like there's very little social time within that, during the week at least. So even if it's just someone who's doing the same job at you and you ask if they want to go get lunch together, or they want to hang out afterwards, or I don't know, they want to run into work together, that kind of thing, that will really help you and start to build those relationships. If that fails, my next tip is to download a friend making app. Now I know this sounds very sad and it's going to be a bit controversial, but there are apps out there like Tinder but for friends. So I have had personal experience of this. I used Bumble BFF. So Bumble is like Tinder, and then Bumble BFF is like the friend version. So basically you make a profile, you put your name, some cute pictures, or like pictures that are your hobbies or things like that, and then you literally do a bio like you would in Tinder, but to try and appeal to friends. And then you can literally swipe people. You can select your age groups, you can select your genders, and you can just go through, swipe left and right, and then when you match you can start talking to each other and like arrange a meetup and things like that. Now to an outsider, like if I was sat in Bournemouth, I'd be like, that is so weird. But people don't realise how difficult it is to meet people in the city. Just like I said, everyone's got their own things going on, so it's quite hard to meet people out of the circles you're already in. So obviously I can meet people at university, I can meet people at work. Anything else, like I didn't go to the gym at that point, I didn't have any outside hobbies where I was like going somewhere every week with the same group of people, so it was very hard for me to kind of reach out to new people. I used this app whilst I was doing my internship just because a lot of the people that worked there were a lot older than me, so we didn't really have a lot of the same interests, and it tended to be like on after a Friday people would just go home and like do their own thing for the weekend. So I did use the app. I was successful. I found my friend Karen. We've been friends for like a year now, and we hang out quite a bit. We just go get drinks or brunch and things like that, and it's really good fun just to have a friend that's not from your old place where you used to live. It's new, like used to London. She's actually from New Zealand, so we can talk about like moving to this new place together and exploring it together. So that's really good fun. So if you do get to the point where you've tried all the other things, you've tried your hobbies, you've tried speaking to people at work, and it's just not really working, maybe you will find someone who's in the same boat as you, looking to make friends on a specific app like Bumble BFF. My next tip would be to remember to touch in with your friends and family back home. You would want to keep in the loop like with what's going on, and also they probably want to know that you're doing okay, that you're still alive. To this day I still talk to my mum probably once or twice a week. So yeah, just to keep in touch and see what's going on with them, making sure they're okay, they make sure you're okay. And I think again it depends on the type of person you are. If you think that's going to make you feel really homesick, maybe don't do it as often, but I was very used to chatting with my mum every day, so once a week is good enough for me. But yeah, just another thing to help fill up your time, but also for you to remember home and for them to know that you're doing okay. And I think my last tip would just be to make the most of the city. So obviously moving to London or any city, there are so many things to do, like museums, galleries, markets, there's like festivals going on, like food festivals and things like that. So many gorgeous parks, you've got all the shopping you could want and ever ask for. So there's so many different types of like areas you could explore, like in terms of food or fashion or cultural or things like that. So whatever you're interested, I'm sure London has something to provide you with. I would say definitely make the most of the time that you're in the city. Me and Christian are going to be here for a few more years, maybe 5 or 6. So we've got some time to do our exploring, but if you know you're only going to be here for a year, make the most of it. Plan some things, go see some like theatre shows and things like that. And you'll meet people through that way, but also it's a great thing to do with new friends. I know moving can seem very daunting and very scary, but I always think like whatever the situation is, it is what you make of it. So if you go into it thinking it's going to be rubbish and you don't try and make your new place look nice and you don't try and branch out, you are going to have a rubbish time. I don't mean to be rude, but yeah, if you go into it with an open mindset, thinking like you're really excited to move, there's going to be so many new opportunities, so many new things to find out and like new people, and you really make that little space your own, I think you'll have a fab time. But yeah, they are all my tips for moving to London alone. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have any more tips, be sure to leave them down in the comments below for other people. But if you have liked this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe down below. I post videos every Thursday and Sunday, so hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye!